Pledge allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We have a mayoral proclamation.
Well, as you know, we have a pretty decent sized population out in the audience tonight. I appreciate y'all coming. As you know, our dispatchers are very fundamental, I guess, to the police department. And it's an honor for me to recognize you during this week for Public Safety Telecommunications Week. So, all right. Proclamation. National Public Safety Telecommunications Week. Whereas April 12th through April 18th, 2015 is National Public Safety Telecommunications Week as declared by the Congress of the United States. And whereas the city of Centralia, Missouri hereby recognizes the Centralia Police Department dispatchers as emergency services telecommunications professionals. And whereas the Centralia dispatchers working relationship with other dispatch organizations is and has been exceptional. And therefore, by this proclamation, the city of Centralia commends and does hereby appreciate the outstanding attention to duty demonstrated by the dispatchers of the Centralia Police Department. I, Tim Brinke, Mayor of the City of Centralia, do hereby proclaim and encourage the citizens of Centralia, Missouri to recognize the dispatchers of the Centralia Police Department during this week. Dated this 13th day of April 2015. All right, so who's the boss that's going to accept this on behalf of all of the dispatchers?
Awesome. And then I'll get out of the way. James, get a picture of everybody.
Good
Well,
job.
the watershed, we're going to kind of slide, stand up in that order.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, I'm so excited. Well, hey, look at this. Thank you. White. How old are you? 31. Are you serious? Wow, dude, I guess this is not letting go. Turn gray or turn One, two, and three. Okay, we're gonna find out.
Take your time.
One, two, and three. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Good job.
Would like to invite everybody afterwards for refreshments next door. Everybody's welcome.
It could be lobster and shrimp.
I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
Mr. Wilkins, I've got a little thing that I'd like to read, if I might, please, sir.
Oh, absolutely.
Not only is it for the police department, but it's for all of us, for the fire department, for utilities. Lynn used to say it right, when our place is open. When no one else is, our place is open. And you can come in there and seek refuge. Or you can come in there and seek refuge when no place else is open. So I just think that we're so fortunate here in our little community to have. Brenda, how long have you been there?
Been there 9.5 years.
Randy?
9 years.
Cole?
Since 2008, I'm losing track. So, almost 5 years full time, 7 years.
I know. Savannah?
5 years.
Zach? And Sierra? But you can see the kind of tenure we can roll out. And just the other evening in the storm, when I'm not much help. All I do is walk around and obsess. But I asked Zach, I said, we need to get some other help in here. I can answer the phone. But he said, no, I think for what you're doing, Chief, which was minimal. And I think we've got it. No more had I said that, here comes Nicole, quite uninvited, but knew that the phones were just ringing off the wall. And she had to work later that evening. That's just what we've got going on at dispatch. It's just folks taking care of one another. I can't explain it. All right. Honorable Mayor Tim Grinke, Mr. David Wilkins, Chairperson, Public Safety Committee, Mr. Matt Harline, Administrator, City of Centralia, Missouri, and Council folks, and Darren Adams. Ladies and gentlemen, this week of April 12th through April 18th, 2015 has been declared by the United States Congress as National Public Safety Telecommunications Week. It's a week that we recognize dedicated people that serve as the most vital link between those in need of emergency services and those who provide emergency services, be that police, fire, or medical, whatever that is. The community of Centralia is most fortunate to be served by a very dedicated professional staff of dispatchers. They handle over 800 calls for service each month. That just astounds me, 800 calls, which does not include walk-in traffic to the police department. Over and above the calls for service per month, which by itself is attention demanding, they must also answer radio calls by the police, fire, and public utilities. In Centralia, they are also responsible for monthly data and statistics specific to the police department. A police department emergency services information center can only be as good as the information gleaned from a caller. That information must then be translated to emergency services in an efficient and succinct manner. The manner of professionalism demonstrated by our very own Centralia dispatchers guarantees the transfer of vital information efficiently and succinctly, each and every call to the best of their ability. I just ask that all of us join me in a moment of appreciation to the outstanding professionals that make up the Centralia Police Department dispatch team. I can assure you, no dispatch team operates as smoothly and professionally as our Centralia dispatchers, without exception, most deserving of our appreciation. Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Good job.
Thank you all. After we get done with the meeting tonight, if Mr. McReynolds doesn't go on and on, we have steak and lobster tail over at the,
Have or may have.
Man.
it may include steak and
The
lobster
menu may include.
over at dispatch. So thank you all very much for showing up. I appreciate it. All right. Thank you all.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. All right. Oh, yeah. Is he good? Tonight's his first night? Okay. Do it again to wash my hands. Thank you all very much, Director.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well deserved.
Approve agenda for General Government and Public Safety Committee meeting of April 13th, 2015.
There are a couple of changes since the first one I sent out, so I thought I'd make this new. The presentation on the Nixle notification will not be taking place tonight.
Will not be tonight.
Bob Bias is here.
Oh, no,
If you, yes.
What?
He's here.
I thought you were-
He and his wife Sheila, if you want to hear a moment of it, knock yourself
It'll
out.
take me just a few.
Okay, well,
Yeah, don't worry about it. I'm here. I'll do it.
all right, go ahead. When you come out, okay, we'll leave it.
Well,
in.
no, it's down.
Yeah, we'll leave it.
further.
We'll leave it in for the.
Leave it where it's at. Who's running this? Are you running this?
I thought I was.
I've received information that goes of a variety of types.
All right. Moving on. Comments from citizens. Hearing none, closing that. Moving on to public safety. Any report from the city prosecutor?
There will not be one until June, I believe, so
Yeah.
we'll take that off the
I
agenda.
got her email today and said she's June.
Okay.
So it'll be the June board meeting. Barring any unforeseen circumstances, vehicle problems,
All right. Activity report, the information is in your packet. Any questions, comments, concerns?
I guess, Bob, you gotta take the questions if there are.
Well, hey, well, I can probably feel them better than he can.
800 calls a month is what dispatch answers?
Phone calls such as, not necessarily as what, that is not necessarily what is put into the CAD and the computer, but
Right.
phone call wise, that's probably pretty close.
Wow, okay. That's amazing.
Hearing none. Now.
Now, I would tell you that I have this great PowerPoint and everything else, but I don't. And a few things have fallen into place. First, let me say thank you. You all came forth with a budget that, you know, hey, thank you so much. I appreciate your approval. I appreciate your hard work on it, Matt. And I don't think you all hear that enough. And like I said, I know that you all have, you know, labored. I know you labored hard on it. And you all had a lot of questions.
It's just because of my inefficiencies.
Well, okay, we won't go there, but we'll talk about that later. As far as everything else goes, let me jump just a little bit here. New police car's been purchased. It's actually sitting out front. Looks to me like Chief couldn't wait, and he put the labels on the doors today, and I fixed it up the rest of the way earlier today. So it'll actually be on the road very shortly. So,
You're right back.
okay,
The-
very rich with bids, right? So was I right in my statement that you just couldn't help yourself and you hadn't put those stickers on there?
It is what it is.
I told them that they could view it as they go over and get their steak and lobster tail. So, okay, as far as Nixle goes, Nixle, pretty simple process. February 10th, just before February 10th, I was actually going through my inbox on my desk and found an advertisement from Nixle. I'm like, when did I get this and what is it? So, actually, I followed up on it. Nixle is a mass communications by SMS, text message, email, that they offer their, what they call their lowest end of it for free to public safety agencies. It doesn't cost a thing for the city. All it costs was my little time signing up for a username and password. We've used it a few times. As of this morning, I looked, I think we've got 119 subscribers right now. Yes, I'd like to have more, but the fact is you can only get the word out so much. James was kind enough, he did put an article in the paper month and a half ago, something like that, somewhere around there. And I've had a lot of phone calls on it, a lot of interest on it, a lot of our older citizens. I've had to walk several of them through on the phone how to send a text message and put an address in, I'm just, that's okay. But I think we've got a lot of them done. It's very simple to sign up for. You send a text message to 888-777, or you can go on to nixle.com.
Did it say that in the article though?
I believe so.
Did it just say that in the article?
Couldn't tell you, I don't memorize my articles.
I believe it did, because I had some of those people that called me and asked me about it.
So text to
888-777.
And
And then you what you do is you text your zip code to that address. And what they'll do is they'll send you one back, and you just follow the prompts. Or you can go to nixle.com and create a username, which again is free. I know that Boone County Joint Communications has it right now. Audrain does. Randolph does some of it, I think. But the fact is, the local agencies, Boone County sends out a lot of them. So if you want to tailor it to if you just want to hear Centralia stuff, we've sent out 8 or 9 in the last week and a half, of course, because of the severe weather and everything else. The telephone system went down. We sent one out and said, hey, if you need to get a hold of somebody, call 911. So there's a lot of different uses for it, be that the severe thunderstorms, lost people, just notifications in general that are going to affect public safety one way or another, or may have the opportunity. Yes, sir.
Can you sign up for multiple zip codes?
Yes, you can.
Okay.
Yes, you can. Currently I'm signed up for 65201 and 65240, so I get both Boone County joints
Okay.
and I get ours. But in all actuality, joint will also cover ours too. But, and you can sign up for multiple zip codes, Jeff City, all over the place. Like I said, I don't know how far down it goes. You can look on their website and find out who the users are,
Okay.
and who actually has accounts. Any questions on there? Nope. Okay, good. Any other questions? I answer everything you want to know.
Do you have anything about this on your guys, on the?
On the city's website, no, but we can put a banner on it for Nixle to take them directly to it. I mean,
A link?
we have a link that they'll let you put their little thing on your website or whatever. It may be such a thing that, or a water bill, on a, just try and get the word out there. Like I said, Anchorfest, I think we're gonna have, the handouts that, hey, of course, we'll be past most of the severe weather by then, hopefully. But, hopefully.
Good luck.
I have faith. But like I said, I think we're gonna do the handouts there. Like I said, just trying to get the information out. Like I said, I was surprised this morning when I caught to go on and had 119 subscribers. I was like, okay, well, that's better than none. So, that's all I got.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you, Robert.
Against my future plan. My previous plan was to open these and have this out to you, but we are actually opening the bids tonight. Mayor, you want to go ahead and read the
Okay.
amount on that one?
This bid is $1,200. You don't know who it's from?
Yeah, it's Eagles. Yeah.
Doug Brown. Oh, okay.
Just so much excitement.
Just like Christmas. Okay, our sealed bid for the 2004 Crown Vic is $859.99.
And then we have the third bid is a little bit more drama than we usually have as well.
This bid on the Ford is $1,010.
So the best bid we have is $1,200 for contact
Yep.
a high bid and make sure they're ready to act on it, but beat your $800, did a nice job.
I did.
Yeah.
You did. Are you asleep over there?
Could you repeat that?
You and your staff together, how's that? I didn't mean to take the credit from you.
$1,200.
That's a nice job. $1,200. Yeah.
$1,200, Doug Brown, huh?
Yeah.
Doug, you better hand it up, check.
All right, thank you all very much.
Okay.
Any other for the police department?
You have the numbers, right?
You missed that.
Oh, sorry.
We have the activity report.
None that I know of, unless there's something you know of. I want to thank you all for the car. We got it up and running. Bob worked on it most of the day today, and so got our decals on it today. I think we're ready. Bradley will be, the night commander, Bradley Harris, will be taking over the car tomorrow evening and comes forward. We'll be good to go. Thank you all very much.
Thank you, sir.
We're up.
Moving on to fire department. Activity reports in your packet. Any questions, comments?
Hey. What's 925 East Highway? Smoke alarm, smoke alarm, smoke alarm.
Which? Schuster Street, Chance County Plastic.
925 East. Highway 22 is.
If it's smoke alarms, it's Chance County Plastics.
Oh, okay.
Wow.
They took it out of service finally, they had a bad
Okay.
alarm.
Oh, okay. Yeah, yeah. That's right.
Well, without further ado,
Well, okay. Go ahead. Go ahead. I'll do it under other.
the mini pumper presentation.
Jeff McGrail was here tonight from Banner.
I want to clarify something real quick. We share a hometown, and that's all. Thank you. Jeff McGrail, I'm sales manager with Banner Fire Equipment. We are in south of Old Illinois. We've done business with you folks for a number of years. Back early January, Chief had contacted me looking for potential for a mini pumper. We were able to locate a truck that was a stock truck that we had. A little bit of background, we manufacture about 800 fire trucks a year. Normally we keep about 20 apparatus in our stock program. However, a mini pumper it's not an oddity, it's just not an everyday vehicle, so we only manufacture about 2 of those a year as a stock truck that we roll down the line, hoping to sell. The rest would all be custom builds. Unfortunately, between the time of us locating a truck, going through some process of looking over the truck and specifications and presenting a price before the council was able to take action, the truck was sold out of state. So I have met with the chief, a truck committee on a couple occasions. I was involved, and we modified the demo truck that we had presented to you, I guess, 2 months ago, eliminated a few items, added a few items, and put a truck together that had a better fit for the department. And I have a 3-ring binder that includes a quoted price, the complete specifications, a set of drawings, a few pictures in the back. I don't know how you want to go about it. I only have one drawing. I can provide you electronic specifications if you want that. I've got it on a thumb tab in my pocket.
If you could, when you have a chance, do that.
Sure. How much do you want me to go through? I don't want to bore the council with all the details, but I'd be glad to. It is actually a 2016 Ford F550 chassis, 4-wheel drive, and has a small mini pumper fire body on it, a 1,000-gallon per minute pump, 300-gallon tank. And
Yeah, what you're doing there, just cover the basics.
Basics, okay.
The amount of water.
Certainly, 300 gallons of water. It does have a hose bed with hose capacity, has a set of ladders on it, enough storage compartments to pretty well cover everything that we discussed with the department. Do you mind if I go ahead and talk through a little bit about this equipment? Okay. At the time, the last truck we quoted you was a little over $200,000. When our final bids came in on the chassis, and we also asked the manufacturer for additional discount, our price came in considerably under $200,000. And we were able to add several items that would put the truck immediately in service to our quote, which includes a deck gun, which if you have the ability to hook up to a hydrant, gives you big flow of water up to 1,000 gallons a minute on that deck gun. The hose you need for the truck, the nozzles, the pike poles, the appliances, all the mounting, some mounting brackets for their equipment. Anyhow, we were able to put all of those pieces
Come with
in
the
our
light
farms.
bar and the siren.
Everything. The truck is actually, with the exception of your SCBA's with our air packs and a saw and fan that you already have, the truck is completely ready to go out the door upon delivery. I do want to make a couple notes. In the quote page, first page will give you a quote price. There's a second page for prepayment option. We had talked about that. If you did make a prepayment at the time of delivery, we would discount that at 3% amortized over a year. So if it's a 6-month delivery, we pay you 3% of money on your down payment. That just kind of helps the manufacturer out on the chassis purchases where it helps out. The quote is going to say 210 to 240 days, and that's kind of a cover ourselves situation. We would anticipate about a 180-day delivery. And actually what the real number is, it's 90 days after we receive the chassis. So we have to place the order with Ford Motor for that chassis, and it's not a stock item because of the wheelbase of the truck. It's not like a normal cabin chassis you go purchase off a lot. It's going to be a manufactured chassis. But I have all the information in here. I assume this would go to Matt.
Yeah, sure. Do you guys want to look at it tonight, though, while we're...
And the picture on the front is not the picture of the truck. In the back under like the last tab, maybe tab 10. That is a pretty close rendition of the truck that we had, the demo truck that we had available for you that didn't work out yet. And the reasoning, I think some of the reasoning for the fire department was putting on the Ford chassis is some of the areas you have with cul-de-sacs, they're having some problems with turning radiuses with existing equipment, getting engines back in some areas. And I think this would be a lot more suitable for the number of medical calls that you run, not to have a big apparatus running out the door.
If I remember, first of all, Jeff came down and I think they met about 6 o'clock and I think they left about 9 o'clock. So they spent a great deal of time discussing all the different options. When you add something, you take away something else. You put on something, you add weight, then you have to account for other pieces. One of the big questions was how many gallons on the truck, then versus how much. And another big question was how you arrange the doors, whether you want a deck gun or not. They went over each one of these decisions. I made it for about an hour and a half, and then.
Sure, and I would like to add that your fire committee did a great job of being good conservators of city funds. We had lengthy conversations about, do you really need that? And most of the time, the answer was no, that really isn't something that we need to add to the truck.
If you use a roll door and you want to paint it, because that adds a lot of cost, so they said, no, we don't need to paint, it doesn't need to look that pretty, it just needs to be functional. There's a bunch of decisions that they made like that. One of the big one, I think this one is a four-wheel drive, which would give you 1 or 2 four-wheel drive vehicles in here.
Well, the pickup we drive now is
Right.
four-wheel drive.
So this would be their only four-wheel drive firefighting apparatus. Of course, four-wheel drive on a full-size engine would be.
Sure.
Well,
We do it, but it's cumbersome.
yeah.
The other thing that we did, we eliminated a generator off of the truck because we've replaced all the lighting on the apparatus with LED lighting. So all of their scene lighting, all the spot lighting is all LED. It'll run off the alternator, the vehicle, the battery, the vehicle. And you're not required to have a generator. Like 5 years ago with a quartz light, you would have had to have a generator on it to be able to run quartz lights. And actually, I think the LED lighting gives you a lot better light, like cleaner light for super.
Is it gas or diesel truck?
It's a diesel, and it's a 6.7 liter diesel engine.
And that was also a consideration when you're talking about how much weight you want to put on it. And you have a deck gun and all that kind of other stuff. So.
The truck. I mean, I don't know that the ultimate purpose is to be a pumper.
Right.
But the fortunate thing is with the pump size that you have on this truck and the tank size and the deck gun, it puts the truck in a position where if you ever had to have it as one of your ISO rated pumpers, it does meet all the minimum requirements of ISO pumper. As you go out the door upon delivery, it's going to be a little short on hose, but that would be a department choice. And I don't think you're going to actually, for ISO purposes, you're going to have that for pumper, but you will get to count the 1,000 GPM pump in your ISO rating.
And if you're thinking going down some parts of Bruton and in cul-de-sacs and Alco or something like that, having the smaller truck with the capability in the short term at least to get it to start some firefighting capability is probably a good idea. As it was like if I understood what it was. So I started from about 0 to where I am now, and Jeff and Don and Danny did a lot of work talking me into this. No, I think, when you look at the age of our fleet, and it is time for us to do something to upgrade the fleet. And not to mention the fact that the ISO rating will come back around, and it'll be important for us to have something. We have in front of you a specific proposal from a specific company. In my reading of our ordinances. I don't know that we have to go out and ask other companies if they can match that, but I don't know if you guys feel a necessity to do that. I know I'm not
But,
tempted.
and I would comment, and I'm more than, I would welcome you to do that.
Yeah.
I don't have a concern about that. But the other consideration is, this is a lease purchase
Yeah.
through a bank, so in reality, the city is not purchasing the truck, the bank is purchasing it on your behalf, and you're leasing it from the bank and making the payments that way.
Well, and that's the assumption.
Right.
We have, you know, we have an offer from a bank to help us with it. We have, you know, so there's a couple of different ways to proceed. But I think that this will give us something to act on in the next month or so, either whether we want to go out for a full bid process. We have a set of specs. Most of them are generalized enough so that we can ask other companies if they can produce a vehicle similar to that. I don't know how many. I'm sure there are other companies that make.
There are 10 manufacturers
Yeah.
that we could do a complement vehicle.
So, this is the, yeah, I would feel more comfortable at spending that much money, give somebody else a shot. I would, you know, use those specs, working with Don and give them a period of time where maybe by next month we could have a vehicle that we have in mind, and at the same time pursue options for a lease purchase of the vehicle. If anyone who's going to put this vehicle together, we're going to have a 6-month lag between when we pick out our unit and when we deliver. We have budgeted $45,000. That would be, we know with Banner that's going to help us in terms of a down payment upon delivery. And I can't imagine it would help with, wouldn't help with any other.
And with our proposal, that's a option. We provide you a proposal for nothing down until the day of delivery, or if you opt to do a prepayment upon contract, we will reduce the price by that 3% annual amortization per day till the truck's delivered.
Right, I'm sorry, yeah. Right. So we could easily, yeah, so the first payment, if we, say we went through bids and everything, we picked a truck out July 1, and we put the $45,000 down July 1, the next payment be December 1?
Well,
Because we would.
if we were providing a lease,
Yeah.
there are several options. I mean, we could provide a lease purchase option for you also through our manufacturer company. Normally, you would delay your first, if you've done a prepayment,
Yeah.
you would delay your first payment to 365 days after delivery.
Okay, because we would like to make our second payment after April 1.
Certainly. Well, and there's several ways to go about that. Actually, if you're working with a local bank, I would just say, here's what we anticipate. We are going to anticipate our first payment being June of 2015, and our second payment being June of 2016, which would be about 6 months after delivery, but you're paying that interest for, I assume your revenues come in January, is that right? And then fiscal year.
So we have sales tax, so I mean, we
Constant.
get, yeah, there's a lot of it comes in December, January, February with property tax. We have one, piece there, but sales tax is, as much, and then there are utility taxes too. So.
And the only thing I'd ask, so if you did, when we had our discussion, you were looking at a 5-year payout with that $45,000 payment. If you put money down, it would actually only be a 4-year situation because you're making that first payment up front.
So with these specs, we could get something together, get something out on the street very quickly, have perfect world bids back by the meeting of this, by next month, and then make a choice at the June meeting.
Yeah, I think that's prudent.
Or no, we're in May, April still, right?
This is
So make a choice in the April, at the May meeting for a May contract.
Okay.
Is everybody still on board with me? Okay. Looking for.
Yeah. Sounds good.
All right.
Thank you.
And then once we make our choice, we can worry about the financing piece.
Thank you, sir.
All right,
I was gonna stay for lobster, if that's okay.
it's perfectly fine with me.
Maybe.
We got some, you wanna help out with, we got some discussion about parking too, so.
All right.
Any other for fire department before we move on?
The only other thing I have is I've had a few phone calls about the sirens from Thursday. Not being set off, we set them off, not set them off. Does that come from the joint communication?
Yeah, that was a joint thing versus,
Severe weather, siren.
yes, they, as I recall, they decided to forego that. And we set ours off last Thursday, right?
Set them off when I heard them go off, I think when the tornado warning was issued that included Audrey County. And which is northeast Boone County and Audrey County.
Yes.
Yeah.
And you had some
Same.
calls
Did they
with
set it?
respect to,
Did they set them off Thursday when the wind come? I mean, we couldn't hear it, so I just don't
no,
We did,
No.
I
okay.
think that's what it was.
yeah, we did not set them off with respect to that because it was over before it started. We did not. That might have been a judgment call on my part. I thought, holy moly, this quick stuff came up. It's gonna be over before the sirens make 5 revolutions, so.
I think overall, though, the response, fire, police, was very good, and electric department as well. I think we had, Mark was on the planning and zoning committee. He made the planning and zoning meeting at 7 o'clock. He was pretty much wrapped up by 6:30. So, we didn't have a tremendous number of power outages. We did have, of course, we asked about the trailer on, the address is on Allen Street, but it actually is not located on Alco Street. Both fire and police were there. They handled a traffic accident almost exactly on 24, 15 minutes before, 15 minutes after, right about the same time.
The county took care of that.
Oh, did it? Okay.
I think we worked that great.
But the county helped with the medical end of it.
Yes.
We would have.
Yes.
So-
Yeah, county helped with that.
And police and fire helped arrange for some immediate assistance for the homeowner, or the resident of the trailer. Did you guys get any update on her condition, their family's condition?
I haven't heard from them at all.
And I know that there have been some, Friendship Christian Church was taking some collections for it.
There's a paper that's around it saying what items they needed, you know.
But overall, I think it was a good response. I was encouraged, I thought they did a great job. With a lot of sensitivity, which took some, it took some, they were with the, I think all 3 news stations made it in helicopter speed here. And I think our staff did a nice job of working with them and, doing a decent job of trying to protect the people who've been hurt from their inquisitive eyes.
Moving on to emergency management.
The draft plan for the hazard mitigation plan is getting into we're gathering a bunch of information. Should be wrapped up in the next 2-3 months.
Particular inspection.
I'm meeting tomorrow with Dave Bach from the Regional Planning Commission to talk about commercial demolition grants. The deadline is pretty close, and that's, I should have gotten on it a little sooner, but what we need is cooperation of the property owners. I've talked with De La Rosa and I have talked with Stowers. They have both indicated that with certain, without having the exact circumstances, neither one has said that they are against the idea of cooperating with the grant. So it is possible. I also want to work, there's at least one other property, of course, that we would want in on this grant. They were saying that it is important to get all of your worst, the idea is to clean it up.
Yeah.
So we want at least those two and Cornette's property.
The greenhouse.
Another one that comes to mind that is, I don't know if it counts as commercial, is the church at Switzler and Rawl.
Right next door to D&D Tire.
Yeah, Rawl.
Yeah.
To the south there.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, but there was we're talking with David tomorrow, we're going to find out whether that counts as commercial. Is there anything else that you can think of as a commercial building that is in need of, that is desperate need of, that is unsalvageable and desperate need of demolition?
Homes out of Country Club. Home or two out in Country Club.
Those are not
Oh, yeah.
commercial. We're talking commercial.
Yeah.
There is a residential grant available for that
Yeah.
kind of stuff too, but we'll talk about the commercial.
Certainly nothing at the same level as.
Is that on the church, is that a historic thing, or we're gonna run into that when we go to?
I don't think so. I mean, that's
There comes a,
That's right.
in Fulton, we knocked down a couple of buildings that could have had some historic significance. There comes a point at which it's no longer safe to maintain them.
Right.
stage 4 feasible.
The only problem can be that they want to do an inventory and a study and to get some photos before you knock it down. Usually, I mean, if it's in, I think any of those buildings will be in the stage. My discussion with Clifford today was not, I mean, he was willing to look at demolition if there's assistance.
Really?
In his mind, he is in the middle of a project where he's still reconstructing it. He's got, so I haven't gone through the whole process with him, but I think some of his plans have changed as to the uses he'd like for the building. I think he's thinking right now he could make a 4-year timeline to get this project done.
He said that 10 years ago.
They said it again 4 years ago.
Well, in my understanding he said he took over the building either late 1992 or early 93, and by his own admission, it looks worse than it did in 2002 when we started prosecution.
Let us agree, though, all of us, even those from out of town, that if Clifford is listening, we're down the road.
It seems like headway.
It does seem like headway
Yeah,
versus an impasse.
yeah. So we'll see.
I won't believe it till it happens.
I think that's a wise. It was my first meeting with him.
One, yes, we did it.
He's got some he's got some fascinating ideas.
Yeah.
It just, if anyone's been working that long and gotten that far, it's just hard to believe it's happening.
Hey, if you're talking with him and we're kicking the can down the road.
Yeah.
So no promise.
I'll make myself available to meet with the next meeting.
Okay. Absolutely. So that's the protective inspection.
Did you have any numbers on the number of homes?
I didn't finish the count,
Okay, that's
so I
fine.
just,
Didn't know if you had
but we're still very low. I'm gonna guess it's gonna be in the neighborhood of 40 or plus or minus 1 or 2 houses. It was 38 last month, so.
That was for sale or?
They're for sale, yeah. And do we count or not count the Efkinocchian's house?
That's back on the
It's
market. now,
residential,
so- Yes.
it's
What home?
Efkinocchian's at the Lake View and
Yes.
Jefferson.
Oh, the guest house?
Yeah. That we can count that.
Okay.
It's on the market again. So, at least I've seen a sign up from it.
It's out of my place. But beautiful, beautiful building.
Moving on to general government and finance, economic development, the credit.
Was it you, Caleb?
Yep,
Yep, all
I
right.
like that name.
Mr. Martinez.
We're having a, thank you. We're having a good year, moving right along. Here this month we'll be doing officer elections, so composition of the board might change slightly, but other than that, nothing really in the works, just kind of ongoing stuff from last few months.
How's membership? I know you guys are making a big push on that. Is it too soon to say yet, or?
Yeah, probably a little too soon.
Well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
I do want to invite, I guess, the community to attend our public safety general government meeting on May 11th. We have a very interesting speaker come in and talk to the council. It's John Baker. John Baker with the Community Foundations. He came and gave Freddie a pretty good presentation last month, and very interesting concepts of building a community chest type of fund or a legacy type of fund, and a lot of great potential for some good things to happen in Centralia. I encourage everyone that can make it to come and witness that presentation.
Anything else for greater report? Okay, moving on to the park board. Refinancing lease purchase
Thank you,
agreement.
Dave.
Refinancing lease purchase agreement for rec center.
The park board has met, last meeting they entertained two guests, Carl Ramey of Stiefel Nicklaus and Todd Goffey, who worked on the original lease purchase agreement with UMB. The current bonds are callable on March 16th of 2016. There are options to refinance 90 days ahead with no penalty, so that's December 16th, or sooner than that with some penalty. However, with interest rates significantly lower, that may be worth it. So they're looking at those options. They'll be meeting again on Wednesday, and I invited Mike or Earl to come. They said they'd probably rather wait until they had a better idea what they're doing, but. So that'll be, they're looking at different options, not only on how to finance, but what to finance. And they're basically looking at three different options. First option is just to pay off the bond quicker. The second option is to pay off the bond with with either adding in addition to the Park and Rec building. They currently have extremely high use of the building. It's extremely popular. The number of individual human beings that are members is in excess of 2,700 people, which is in fact incredible.
Phenomenal, yeah.
Considering you have 4,000 plus people in town.
Yeah.
That's like, I think, 900 plus family and individual memberships. But so they got a lot of use. They also have a very old and outdated bathhouse for the swimming pool. So that's another possibility. So those are the things they're looking at, different options. And it is possible to get financing without fully stamped engineer's plans. So those are some. And the other decision is whether they're going to try and just work with local banks or hire a financial advisor, underwriter person.
Do you know, are they anticipating making a decision?
I think they would have it probably making a final vote at a regular board meeting, but I think they're gonna work towards having option A, option B by the end of that meeting on Wednesday night.
Or shoot pass.
Yeah, kind of thing, yeah.
All right, anything else for park board? Moving on to the cemetery report.
Yeah. As far as I know, the Russell Enterprises is doing a fine job with them. Yes.
Tree board, same.
I did see, the tree board president.
John Collins.
John Kotwitz, yes. I did see him on Tuesday evening or afternoon, and he said that he just sent in the application again for Tree City USA. So we're looking at getting that in, so.
Library board.
Issued the last Fireside Guard, the ad for the director is out now.
Anything else for library board?
That's all.
March 2015 financial statements, that information's in your packet.
So we had a great last month for sales tax. And, you know, sometimes some cities, or some vendors pay quarterly, some vendors pay monthly. So I don't think we had that great a February, but unless it's held over from Christmas somehow, but it's a good finish to the year and a good sign.
Good.
And we've got any questions on financial statements? Hearing none, bills over $1,250, page 59. Questions? Other general government, converting truck parking to vehicle parking on the railroad between Allen and Rollins. Forever look at these?
Yeah. Well, I know the Greens are here and I know they were interested in talking about that. I know, just before the meeting, we had officially started, Chief Dudgeon was, describing one possible solution, which actually I didn't mean to think it said, which actually might work, but no, which actually, it started to come out that way. I
We're
didn't
about
mean
to
it.
go through city administrators like they do for candy on police chief.
Which has a lot of merit, so I don't know, the original, what we had been talking about back, I sent you an excerpt from the minutes back in, I think it was August of last, yeah, 13. The idea was then to put angled parking on the north side where we currently have truck parking. I don't know if you guys have, what Chief Dudgeon was suggesting, possible angled parking on the south side, which would put customers closer. Either way, if you add an angled parking at that point, you're going to end up with about 22 feet of driving traffic lanes, 211, approximately 211 foot lanes. Now that's not center stripe, and I'm not suggesting that we do that. It will require if we put angled parking either way, you're going to have to shift the driving lane a little bit. If you're coming along Railroad heading west, right now the tractor trailer parking that is there, the space that's drawn, if you park a car, it's going to be longer than that's the angled parked car will not fit into the horizontal space. It will still stick out slightly. Similarly, a 10-foot by 20-foot parking space for a car, you're gonna need to an angle parking on the south side, you'd have to adjust your driving lane slightly. I don't think it's 20 miles an hour on
Yeah.
railroad at that point, correct?
They,
Yeah.
as if anyone pays attention.
Do we have a estimated traffic count on that street? As far as
Not
how much
much.
traffic goes, I don't think it's that much.
Well, with what Russ and his wife have done over there, and I'd be interested to listen to what
Yeah.
they got up their sleeve if we can. I think with the bakery going in there, I think we'll listen and see what they got up their sleeve. Maybe they're not enough.
Well, did you guys want to make a comment right now?
Yeah, we can, if you like. You know, basically just to maybe be a place to field questions if you have some. I don't know the restrictions on trafficable lanes. I'm not sure how much space is required. I agree that there would be a slight offset probably in that, but I don't think it's very significant. You know, what I do know is we've got a tenant, you know, moving in that's going to be trying to run a business that, you know, the obligation that I believe that we have then is to give them a fighting chance of getting customers close to their door so they can come spend money and generate sales tax. So, you know, whatever the solution may be, we looked a little bit at the south side. I'm just reflecting on the notes. The notes I think that that said it would add a couple spaces on the south side if we did parallel parking over there. I haven't measured out, so I don't know if 22 feet is appropriate for a trafficable lane.
11-foot wide lanes is
Yeah, adequate.
adequate. It's
For comparison, if you think of Route C, north of town, it's anywhere from 18 to 20 feet.
Okay.
I'm not on the council, I'm just hired help. But if we're just trying to find some more space, let's just say this is railroad. And here's the white marks that mark tractor trailer park. Okay? I think, I went over there earlier, and I think there's 10, maybe 11 spaces between Albert's and the barber shop, the old barber shop. Does that sound about right? I think I just tried to count a few.
Could possibly, yeah.
Well, if you took that available space and trying to do this where folks can see, if you, even at 30 degrees, from Allen to Ed's Barbershop, whatever street that is.
Rollins.
Thank you very kindly, that was a test. And I think you can increase that almost by half again. I think you can go from 10 or 12 there, depending on how, to almost double that space. And I went over there and measured a while ago before the meeting. If you do that, right in front of where the bakery's gonna go, you still have 22 foot of roadway. There's 10 foot of roadway in each lane on the interstate. If you want to count the two foot to the inside. But let's just say, well, okay, there's still 22 feet. That is a solution. I'm just hired help. It might not be the solution, but it's certainly a solution. And the traffic thing would fall to, I think, Matt and the mayor. But that might be one thing we can do. I don't know what the alternative is, Russ, quite frankly, if we say no truck parking here. I don't know where we go from there. I'm all about helping. I'll do what we can do, but if we move, let's just say we say, okay, tonight at midnight, no more truck parking here, that's that. What do we do with them? Do we take them down there past the city shed on South Street to that, to this place there where Coach Jackson used to live, then down here where we pile the snow? To that lot there? I mean,
Parks Department won't like that.
nobody's, one thing about Centralia, nobody likes a
Everybody-
lot. Anyway, I'm all about trying to do something different, but I just don't know what we do with them if we say no more truck parking.
Well, I think my position on that is the city isn't obligated to provide, private parking to people on our city paved streets. So it isn't, that isn't a benefit that's really afforded to anybody else.
The only reason we did that is because people were parking their semis and stuff in front of people's houses down the streets and blocking people's houses. So then we committed that whole side for truck parking.
And I think that at the time that made sense because it really didn't have any other use. It was space that really didn't have another use. But I think that area has turned at this point, that we're trying to revitalize some of the downtown business district, and part of revitalizing the downtown business district is actually have parking for the businesses.
Well, and I think the providing truck parking is if it prevents another problem.
Oh, it's moving.
According to Lynn's report, we only get 2 extra spaces.
Well, a diagonal space is usually about 20 feet wide. You're going to lose a half at each end because you have to have a triangle there. So you're going to lose.
Is there gonna be a crosswalk kind of close to
Well,
the front door?
if we put the parking on the north side, then we have everybody parked on the opposite side of Railroad Street, which is again not a heavily traffic road, and the risk of getting hit by a car isn't tremendous. But it's it would seem to me that the advantage would be to there'd be an advantage to having
Well, correct me, but we're not talking about eliminate all the truck parking.
No,
When I
just
looked at it, it looked like we're gonna eliminate 40% of the truck parking.
Right, just to the west of.
Two out of 5 spaces.
Right.
I believe there's, I think there are 4 or 5 spaces. I thought there was 4, but maybe there's 5.
Well, I mean, but if you go far to the east in front of the old, laundromat, there's one down there.
So. I need to move.
Yeah, there you
Okay, so here's Russ's building here. Here's the Narragansett building. Here's the truck parking. So here's the spot right here we're talking about. There's we also have public parking here. We've got, looks like there would be enough.
5
Those are painted.
Right now, there's 6 that are
6.
that still have the paint from the when it was civilian parking.
6 from, say, Allen Street, Russ, back towards,
6 from the truck parking side, the truck only parking sign to the memorial, the master.
the master, yeah.
Right.
Which is
6?
this is the
Parallel.
I'm 6.
But on west, they start diagonal.
Right. And
Yeah,
there
once
is
you
some
cross out on the
parking
diagonal.
in there,
Right.
down around Collier Street.
Right, down here, there is diagonal parking, which I think is city, is that city or railway?
It's probably railroad.
Oh, yeah, I guess it was railway. Yeah, if you look at the property line, that'd be railway. The part of Chief's suggestion I really like is the idea of having the parking directly in front of the business and not requiring the crossing the street.
Well,
I'm not as married to the idea that we have to provide 6 tractor trailer parking spots, but you know, as Alderman Magley was pointing out, we were relieving a previous problem. I think that you can have angle on one side. I know there are in some other places. Of course, that guardrail. You can see how those cars are angle parked to the east of Collier Street. The way that there's no guardrail there, so you can pull in farther. And they had the back end of their car out of the actually out of the right of way there. The trucks are in the right of way. So, despite that, though, as Larry was saying, 22-foot right of way or traffic way would probably be more than adequate at 20 miles an hour.
And one thing about that idea though is you really direct your traffic flow, because now you can only really approach your parking from one direction.
That's true. That's true. I mean, we could. One other option is I don't know if there's room to put parking on. I don't think we can have angle parking on both sides. But we could perhaps move the truck parking sign back one truck length, say 4 or 5 truck spots, add angle parking on the south side. We're going to significantly increase the number of spaces and still preserve some truck parking spaces. And then, I mean, we can see on the next couple of months, next several months, next year or something like that, which is where the demand is greater. I mean, if we never have more than 2 tractor trailers parked there, then we can, you know, add some more parallel parking on the north side. I can draw you a sketch for the council.
Just because I told him I would do it, Dick's not able to be here tonight, but he called me yesterday. And, you know, his take on it was, and although I might not share his opinion, I'm going to share his opinion. He was in favor, I feel like, of doing something with the trucks, but he wasn't in favor of doing away with truck parking because, you know, he said, well, I drive a truck, so I understand the benefit of having truck parking. It's hard to know what to do with your truck when you're not on the road.
Mm-hmm. And that's
But
not
he also said, but he also said, you almost need 2 connected truck parking spots in order to get them in there. I mean, if you only have room, it's hard to parallel park a truck, I guess.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
But I also agree to the point of, you know, where we're trying to revitalize downtown.
absolutely.
Yeah.
So getting rid of these long truck parking spots makes complete sense to me.
What are you gonna do when they start parking in front of the house and block 15 driveways down?
That's not to say that we don't have parking somewhere for them, but certainly not in downtown we're trying to revitalize.
Well, let me bring you a couple sketches back. Here's what I understand you want. You'd like to see more parking. Well, I don't know. Maybe it's premature. Not everyone's had a chance to speak yet.
I would like to point out that in our packet, there is a report that you put in there from what Lynn had reported on before. And he says changing parallel parking spaces to diagonal spaces on the south side of the street would only add 2 new spaces. Changing parallel spaces to diagonal spaces on the north side of the street could add up to 16 spaces. At present, there are 4 car spaces and a length devoted to parking long trucks. The change on the north would require the loss of about 1/2 of the city's designated truck parking. Several of the spaces at the west end would only be available to compact cars. Diagonal parking on either side of the street would only leave 20.4 feet for 2 travel lanes. The committee discussed whether the city has an obligation to provide semi-truck parking and came to no conclusion. I don't know of any other city that does provide it. I'm not saying we should eliminate it. You know, his point, Lynn, I haven't made any measurements out there, so I don't know, but I would tend to trust what Lynn had done. If there's only 20.4 feet of driving lanes, that's not necessarily bad. Highway CC is as little as 18 feet wide. Traffic out there is 55 miles an hour. The difference is you don't have anything on the side that makes you slow down. So it's not like you have cars sticking out and you're 2 feet off of them and whizzing by at 55 miles an hour. But the speed limit's only 20, so it's not necessarily a bad thing to have just a 20-foot traffic lane. But if he says that you can only get 2 extra spaces on the south side by diagonal parking, you're not really gonna get a whole lot there. You're gonna have to come from someplace else. 2 extra spaces is not enough to, it's gonna make a big difference.
What about the back end parking lot?
But that would still be diagonal.
Didn't that used to be diagonal parking years ago
I don't
through
know.
there?
Not that I'm aware of, but I don't know. I have no idea.
I don't know that anyone in this room is qualified to buck what Lynn says. But it's just hard for me mathematically to say that we can only achieve 2 more parking spaces.
Well,
Well, I'm thinking there's only about 4 or 5 parking spaces over there
Where?
in front of, from the corner down to.
From Albert's down to Ed's?
Yes.
Oh, no.
I would see.
No. I think there's more than that, Don. And I
Well,
drive by.
you've got the driveway to Ed's that went in there, though, that took off some of them.
You've only got about 100 feet of frontage there, if I'm reading that right, 30 and 70.
Move that over just a little bit more.
To see,
Shift it over.
Oh.
there's a driveway and you don't have it, there's only 1 space there. So it's whatever you have from here,
Yeah,
and you've got a driveway there, so there's a space there and whatever you can get.
yeah.
There's not as many spaces there as you might think, because you've got those other driveways going.
Right. Right, now, yeah.
So I'm thinking there's only about 5 or 6 spaces in there, in the whole block.
There's an alternative along the lines of making everyone mad. You could one-way the street from Allen to Ed's, eastbound. That'll cut that truck parking off to nothing. I'm not waving anybody's banner here. I'm just telling you, you could one-way the thing.
Make the truck park facing east.
Pretty much kill it. How they gonna get there? Come clear around and one-way the street.
No, they'd have to come through on Singleton,
Yeah.
turn
Singleton.
north on Allen or some other street, and then
Yeah.
turn right
East
and
on.
right across the street, and then be parked on the left side facing east. But I don't know that we want, I don't know, and you've got half of the truck parking is between Rollins and Collier. This street here.
What if we made it one way going west? Then you're just parking on the south, and still paying for parking in on the south.
But now I understand what, Lynn, you're not gonna get a lot of
Yeah.
angling on this side, only gains you parking spaces here, or angling on that side.
Yeah.
Let me bring you a couple of drawings, and if we eliminate 1 truck spot and get some measurements on how, I think the 20.4 versus, 22, 20.4, you're talking about 20 inches. And when you're talking about the length, the length of a spot, when you gotta provide a spot that will hold a F-250, not just a Camry or a
And,
Crown Vic.
and you gotta consider the handicap parking availability.
I mean, 20 foot for 20 miles an hour through there.
Yeah.
If people would probably slow down less than 20 miles an hour. That's not a bad thing in that
Right.
area.
Yeah.
Right.
So, if it's only 20 foot of driving lane, I really don't have a real problem with that, because I don't think there's that much traffic.
8 feet is all that's required by state statute now,
Yeah.
60-foot road.
But I think there's gotta be, 20% handicap accessible parking as well.
Something like that.
But that could be in the parking lot.
Right.
Yeah.
Because there are no curb cuts there except the driveways.
How much, I mean, the distance from that parking lot to your building is not long, it's probably no farther than across the street.
Well, it's a little further than that to the door of the bakery, and it's probably just 70 feet or so.
If I may, Russ, your contention is if we get rid of the tractor trailer parking, it would free up a lot of that area for customer parking, for the bakery, for your building, that.
For Albert shoes,
And the yoga facilities, I don't know if they're gonna do a lot of daytime, but I guess the trucks are parked there 24 hours.
No, there's a lot of times there is nobody parked there across the street.
Right. But
So, you know.
Mainly on the weekends though, I think.
Hmm?
It's mainly the trucks that are on there.
A lot of times on weekends.
So
Yeah, a lot of times
that's,
on the weekend.
that's typically when you'll see them, but throughout the week there really is, it's just, it sits there empty.
Yeah.
So yeah, originally I believed that we could do diagonal parking on the north side to get the bulk of the spaces that we needed, and then, you know, after, you know, again, Lynn had a 20-foot, you know, concern, and then, you know, my concern was that, you know, this is one of the reasons I kind of wanted to try to get this resolved, you know, before spending a tremendous amount of money on the project, but with the assurances that the council would, you know, would work with me later, as such it was put, so we went ahead with the project.
yeah, and we want to work with you. We want to make sure there are spots there, because I think it is important to make sure that there is a viable amount of parking there. How many spots would you like to see? What do you think is how many more would you like to see?
Well, you know, the bakery load, customer load is 22. So, you know, I would like to see 14 spaces, you know, at a minimum, but 14 would be a reasonable number, I believe, that would be within very close proximity of the people trying to, you know, run business there.
Yeah. But and I mean, if you're the only one in the shop, you should be expected to be able to. If there's a slow day, parking directly in front seems pretty reasonable. It's a pretty busy time. Just like anything, if you go to the mall at a busy time, you're gonna have to park farther away.
But just remember, of that 14, though, some of them are going to be, you know, probably at west of Shoes, you know, on the roadside. So, you know, it'll be still a considerable. It's not like it's concierge parking on the front lawn.
No,
but at least it's close.
Right.
And you know, reasonable.
We offer valet parking.
Right.
So on those busy days, how much of the parking lot is usually open?
You mean the city lot?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
to the west of Shoes?
Yeah. I've never seen it heavily used.
No, there's space in it.
Yeah.
There's some space in it. That's a great spot for overflow. You know, I'm not contending that everybody that sits there and wants to sip a cup of coffee is going to park within 10 feet of the door, but I think it's reasonable. The proximal parking spaces are available, and if on heavy loads, someone's parking in the city parking lot or across the street or over by the Black Hog,
Yeah.
that's just the way that that's just the way it rolls.
And
Really the best parking place.
Right.
The yoga studio is going to need to get their parking in the same area too, right?
Mhm.
I don't have any. There's no
Right.
specific.
Right.
How would signage of that parking lot help any?
I think it would for the overflows. That, you know, certainly. You know,
All right. Okay, well, what I would propose is that we bring a specific, a couple of diagrams to the meeting tomorrow, next week.
Okay.
And then we make a decision, and if we have to, I think, do we
That's a merit question, probably.
we probably have a parking designation that we have to change by ordinance to do this. So I'll have a draft with an amendment so that we, you know, two different options with a draft and amendment, so we can get a couple different choices for you. And I'll make sure you guys get ample time to look at it. But one of those will involve some parking, removing one or two spots of truck parking on the north side. To see how, so with the goal of coming somewhere close to 14 additional spots. Or 14 total, or 14 additional.
14 proximal spots. So there's I believe 4 in front of the building. They're parallel.
So 10 more spots.
Right.
Okay. I think that's a reasonable request. You're not asking for 22 or 22 plus 10 for the yoga studio.
So you would leave south side of railroad parallel parking?
Nobody likes to parallel park. I know one woman in this room that refuses to parallel park. And
narrows it down.
but it might be a reality that we have to deal with. So I appreciate the opportunity that we have maybe to map it out and come with a couple of plans.
I think a couple options is feasible.
And striping a pedestrian walkway either at a corner. I don't know that we need to put one right in the middle of the block.
Right.
It's
So
not.
that's just gonna take up parking if you put it in the middle of it.
Yeah, right. So to try and
You can put it at the edge where the driveway starts.
creating creating an awareness of drivers that this is a place of pedestrian traffic. But so those we'll have those options ready for next week. And I'll get my draftsman tools and
Okay. Okay.
All right.
All right. Thank the council for their time.
Appreciate your time.
Thank you.
You don't need this anymore, do you? Matt?
I do not.
Comprehensive plan update.
It was a topic of discussion at the Planning and Zoning Committee. One of the things I'm looking at doing is creating what I'd like to do is have 4 different committees, which appointed with cooperation between the mayor and the chair of the Planning and Zoning Commission, Lee Allen Smith. And the idea would be to look at having not only from the board, not only from the board of aldermen and planning and zoning, but also inviting citizen members to participate. And then, unless we get the more participation than I would guess, maybe specifically requesting or some sort of combination there. So we get business interest. One of the public facilities would be one of the committees. So we want people from the park board on that, school on that, the library on that. One would so
Stakeholders.
exactly stakeholders for each of them.
What about the chamber?
There would be one on economics and financing, and that I would see the chamber and banks and credit serving on that. Utilities and public works, and then transportation and land use. So, and have, I'm not looking at hundreds of charrettes or anything like that, but a couple of public meetings, try to get some interest and some discussion on those 4 different topics, and then bring it together to a plan. Hopefully with drafting it, and Lynn had done a lot of the grunt work, the really difficult number gathering. We may have to update some of that. I talked to him, it was suggested that we ask him to chair this. He's not terribly interested in doing meetings. No. 29, I am not faulting him whatsoever. But he would be helping with, he would help with the writing and that sort of thing, so that's
Just secret stuff. Rich Lindbergh.
so that would be, more meetings for me. I think I would like to do along those lines. Hopefully having it wrapped up in time for Christmas at time, so it would be ready. We can use that as input towards the 2017 budget. Without objection, I'll proceed in that direction.
I have no objection. The MML Central Region meeting.
Oh, have you guys received how many people are planning to go?
believe I can. Let me send the verification.
Okay, open plus minus.
I think I've already told Heather I'm going, so I think she's already made a reservation. Or she's,
I don't know
about
if
ready
she
to.
made reservations, but
She's about ready to.
she did send out a notice on it, and I responded to it.
Yeah.
Okay, okay, that's, anything I already talked about. He has my rise.
Anything else from anybody?
Steak and lobster.
Possibly.
Steak,
If there's any left.
Or might be on the agenda over
Yeah.
at my place for that. There's all the keys.
On that note, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
Somebody close it out so I can get those plates.
No one?
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, we stand adjourned.
Thank you very much.
Who was the first?
Thank you.
First and second on that.
Uh,
Normally,